Okay, so this is my polynomial equation, and in order to graph the equation, we need to first find the zeros. So you can do this by putting the factors of the last number of the equation, which is -2, on top of the factors of the first coefficient of the equation, which is 2, and that will give you all the factors of the equation. So I just chose a random number. I chose -1 because it's a factor of the -2 at the end, and if it's a factor of the function, then it will give you the answer of 0 once you plug it into the equation, which it did. So now I can use synthetic division in order to figure out what the rest of the function would be if the factor of -1 was taken out of it. So I just wrote in all the coefficients, brought down the 2. 2 times -1 is -2. -1 minus 2 is -3. -1 times -3 is 3. -5 plus 3 is -2. -2 times -1 is 2, and -2 plus 2 is 0, which means that we divided the function properly. And since it can be factored just a little bit more, I decided to use synthetic division again, using another factor from the start of the equation. So I decided to use 2. So 2, bring down the 2, I rewrote it. Bring down the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. -3 plus 4 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2, and -2 plus 2 equals 0. So now we have the factors of 2x plus 1, x plus 1, and x minus 2, which means that the zeros of the function are -1/2, -1, and 2. So now that we have our zeros, our next step is to find the y-intercept, and we can do this by plugging 0 into the x values in the function. So 2 times 0 cubed minus 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 2, which gives us the y-intercept is -2. So now that we have the y-intercept, we can find the maximum amount of turning points that the graph can have. So since it's a degree 3 polynomial, we do 3 minus 1, which equals 2. So that's the maximum amount of turning points we can have. Now we can just plug more values into the equation in order to find more points that we can plot on the graph. So I used -2, so 2 times -2 cubed minus -2 squared minus 5 times -2 minus 2, which gives us the answer of -12. So that gives us the point of -2, -12. Next, I plugged 1 into the equation, so 2 times 1 cubed minus 1 squared minus 5 times 1 minus 2, which gives us the answer of -6, so that's the point 1, -6. And finally, I plugged 3 into the equation, so 2 times 3 cubed minus 3 squared minus 5 times 3 minus 2, which gives us the answer of 28, so that's the point 328. And now we have enough points for our graph. So now that we can graph our function, we can start by putting the zeros onto the graph. So that's -1/2, -1, and 2. Next, I plotted the y-intercept, which was -4, and then I plotted the other points that I found for the graph. So that was 1, -6, -2, -12, and 3, 28. And since we know it's a degree 3 polynomial and the a value is greater than 1, we know that the graph is going to point left, down, right, up. So now that we have all of our points, we can draw the line through the points, and that is how I graphed my polynomial function.